fanny flexing here for Seconds Out with Derrick Osaze, the punching preacher.
Apparently, yeah, that's what they call me.
I'm not going to ask why, because we all know it's because you're a preacher who boxes, but how did you get into boxing? Just tell us that first of all.
Getting into boxing was actually to keep out of trouble, funny enough. When I started boxing, I was 15 years old, on the verge of being kicked out of school. When I was younger, I had anger management issues that I had to deal with. I've always been a sport fanatic. I played football for my school, rugby, basketball, but there wasn't a sport that was suitable enough to channel my aggression. So somebody recommended boxing to me. I'd always grown up watching boxing in my house with my family, like Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson. So someone said, come down to a local club. Went down there. It went from a hobby to a passion to a lifestyle, and the rest was history. So yeah, I got into boxing just to keep out of trouble. That's what it was really. If
boxing was the only sport that could effectively channel your anger issues, those must have been some very big anger issues.
Do you know what? Funny enough, I wouldn't say I was an angry individual. I think I was misunderstood.
Of course.
That's the easiest way to say it. But no, man, because boxing is one of the most self-disciplined sports in the world. And I feel like there's so much I've learned from boxing. If you put the physical attributes to one side, but mentally, self-discipline, respect, do you know what I mean? And I feel like these are skills that have helped me in other areas of my life. So I know it's a cliche, you hear it all the time, but boxing really did change my life. I couldn't tell you where I'd be right now if not for boxing. So yeah, man, it's a big part of my life.
Talking of life-changing vocations, what put you on the path to becoming an ordained minister?
Do you know what? Funny enough, so I grew up in church. I grew up as a Catholic, went to Catholic school. Going to church on Sunday was a regular thing, you know. It's only until I got to university, when I was living away from home on my own, I couldn't really identify why I go to church. To me, before, it was just going because it's what you're meant to do on a Sunday. So for me, it was maybe towards the back end of my degree, when I was about 20, 21, where I decided to, you know, start attending church more regularly than I did, because when I went away for uni, I didn't go to church for about 2.5 years. And I just made a decision to dedicate more time to going to church and dedicate more time to God. And the rest was history. I started attending a youth fellowship called Radical Youth, which is a university society, which basically is like a Christian fellowship which is led by young people. That led me to a church called God's Beyond Ministries, and the rest was history. Like,
what denomination? Because you said you were brought up Catholic.
Yeah, but denomination I was Pentecostal. So I couldn't tell you, like, when I first started going to church again properly, I couldn't tell you, if you told me I was going to be a minister, stand in front of you within 2-3 years, I would have laughed.
What drove you to do it? Is it an urge to give back or to teach people from things that you've done? What is it?
I think the urge comes from just having a desire to want to have a positive effect on people around me. You know, first of all, I believe that, you know, definitely I felt like it's something that God called me to do, and now it's all starting to make sense. The question you asked me is very interesting, because I feel like I'm still on a journey and I'm still linking the dots and, you know, trying to see how it all fits in. But as for now, I think for me it's just, I knew this is what God wants me to do, and I feel like it was a part of myself. It's always been a part of me, which I didn't know until when I reached age 20. And yeah, without it, a part of me would be missing. So yeah, man, it's important.
Do you have your own church, your own parish?
Yeah, so I'm part of God's Beyond Ministries. Our headquarters is in Nottingham, but we have branches in London, Birmingham. So they've been a church that's been so supportive, you know what I mean? I get regular members from the church who come and support me on my fights. They're constantly, obviously, supporting me in prayer, and it's just great. Like, literally, without my church, my faith, I wouldn't be boxing right now. That's the truth. It's a cliche, but people say it a lot, but it's the truth, because boxing's a hard sport. It's tough. There's a lot of sacrifices you have to make, a lot of challenges you have to overcome behind closed doors, which people don't see. And I felt like my faith in God has kept me grounded. So with the whole minister side of things, it's more based on my faith and belief. Call it a voluntary position. There's no one forcing me to do it. There's no paycheck that comes at the end of the month. It's just something that I choose to do myself.
Do you spend most of your time in churches, like when you're visiting, or do you go to things like schools and groups, youth groups and things like that?
It's funny you say that. I do. So I spend a lot of time in church, but also, like I said, the Youth Society, Radical Youth, we're in 27 universities. So I spend time travelling to different unis to speak to university students, also going to secondary schools as well, like conducted assemblies and youth groups as well. So I'm very passionate about young people. Even my ministry, we have a very vibrant youth ministry. A lot of the people that come to my church are university students. So I feel like I engage with the young people a lot better, and I'm just passionate about seeing everyone do well. I feel like if I didn't have positive role models around me growing up in a place like Peckham, if I didn't have the right people around me, then I could have easily ended up in something else. So I want to do something and give back. So yeah, man.
Does it help from that position that you're a professional boxer and athlete, so you're maybe someone they can relate to better than, you know, a 50-year-old politician, for example?
Yeah, I think that's another element. It's always an interesting element because people obviously make no mistake. It's not usual to see someone who's a boxer who's a preacher at the same time. So it's always a good conversation starter, and it attracts a lot of people who are interested when they ask me questions about it, which allows me to sort of get to know them better, and it allows me to sort of kind of build a rapport with people, whereas then I'm in a position to actually maybe help or support them in other ways. So yeah, man, it's great. I feel very privileged and honoured to be in the position I am, you know, and I can only attribute that to God. So yeah.
If you win this, or even if you don't, you get a lot of TV time from this Ultimate Boxer 3 tournament that you're in, May the 10th at the Indigo. What will you use that platform for? What sort of things, given you're also a minister, what sort of things will you talk about in the interviews and stuff to use that platform to your best advantage?
I think, personally for me, I think rule number one is always be yourself. Do you know what I mean? Even as we're talking now, there's no script, nothing rehearsed. Just be yourself.
Anyone who's watched me before knows there's no script, trust me.
Yeah, say what comes to your heart. So for me, I think All My Boxers is a big platform. I think all of us have come in here, we've got nothing to lose. We've got all to gain, because without the All My Boxer, even before we fought, having all this exposure is great. But for me personally, I think, like, regardless of what I do or what I achieve within the Ultimate Boxer after, it's just to help inspire the next generation of people. I do a lot of youth work, go into a lot of schools. I like to work with a lot of young kids who maybe come from less privileged backgrounds, difficult backgrounds, maybe struggling in school. So yeah, man, preach positivity, man. And I think the main thing is, if you want to achieve something, work hard, dedicate yourself to it, and you can achieve it. So I couldn't really tell you, there isn't a plan, but the plan is just to All My Boxer to be a launch pad to bigger and better things. So maybe later on I'll be able to give a bit more insight in what I plan to do.
It kind of strikes a chord what you're saying, because there's been a lot of talk recently, obviously, about knife crime, as I'm sure you're aware, especially in London, but also around the nation. And one of the things that people seem to be emphasising is preemptive work. So getting with troubled youths before they turn to that side of things, rather than how to punish the people that do it. You must play kind of a key role in that kind of thing in your position.
100%. It's funny enough you say that, because I've been in talks with a lot of schools about coming back in to do boxing and give boxing PE lessons, because boxing used to be part of the PE curriculum, but it's not anymore. But they're now trying to reintroduce it, because they're starting to see that, you know, boxing has had such a positive impact on many people's lives. And obviously at the time that we're in now with knife crime, it's so important. At my gym in Nottingham, we run 2 sessions a week for free for young kids to come in, and it's our combat against knife crime. We call it, the campaign is labelled, you know, we don't carry knives, we wear gloves.
What gym's that? Give it a plug.
DCT Boxing Academy, stands for Dreams Come True, up in Nottingham. And so our campaign is we don't carry knives, we wear gloves. And it's seeing firsthand, you know, some of the situations that some of these young people could fall into if they didn't have a sport like boxing that keeps them grounded. We get a lot of kids that come in who automatically assume that, you know, because they're boxing they want to go out and fight, but actually it does the opposite. They become calmer individuals, self-disciplined. So in the current climate today with knife crime, is so important, man. And like I said, it's not going to be overnight. Prevention's better than cure. So I think the aim is to now put things in place like boxing programs, intervention programs, which prevents the next generation from following suit. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be a quick fix.
That just sounds awesome. I think I want a "We don't carry knives, we wear gloves" t-shirt. XXL.
T-shirts are actually available. We can sort that out 100%. 100%.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, we wish you the best of luck on the 10th, and we hope you get the opportunity to spread your message far and wide.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man. Thank you, guys.